On show 474, Nissan upgrades ProPilot, the MG ZS EV in London, and Musks' money worries. Those stories and many more coming up on today's podcast. Welcome to the show. So good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're listening. Thank you for listening to the edition for the end of the working week. This is what happened on Friday the 17th of May 2019. My name is Martyn Lee. Welcome along. I go through every EV story that I can find. There's so much going on and I try and distill it down just to the stories that I think you need to know about. I know I can't please all of the people all of the time, but I think we try and get the balance right between the different car makers, things like battery storage, bit of solar news as well if you're new to us. That's what we're all about. And we are supported by Patreon. It's how we make this show. And thank you to myev.com as well. They do support this show. If you're in the USA, it's a marketplace for buying and selling only EVs. Like, we've all used those websites, right, for buying, maybe even selling. I've never sold a car through an online portal. Always done it in person. But, you know, I've used them for at least window shopping, but you've got to search through all the trudge of gas cars to get to what you want with EVs. Well, myev.com is only the cars that you want to have a look at. It's only EVs. And if you buy one, you can, well, say, look, this is my EV. Let's start with a correction. Well, a clarification. Well, okay, let me explain. This is a story that we featured earlier in the week about the Tesla Model 3 and the Audi e-tron charge speeds. I reported on an Audi presentation in New York about how their take on it was the Audi e-tron will get you to your destination quicker than a Tesla because they put some graphs up, one particular graph up on screen. And they said because the e-tron can hold a sustained charge for longer. In other words, it doesn't peak out as fast as the Tesla, but the Tesla slows down as you go on. The Model 3 does. The Audi e-tron can take charge for longer, therefore it's better. And we reported on that piece of news. What's happened since? People far smarter than I am have had a look at the graph they put online and even contacted Audi and VW to go, where was that data from? Let me explain. Well, this article on Clean Technica was written by Simon Barke and Myles. They each hold a PhD in physics. They work for an international space mission at the University of Florida. So they understand scientific data quite well. And they're used to critical thinking. Matthew Mostafae is Audi's manager for e-tron, and he presented data. And the graph that was shown was actually taken from Twitter. It was during the New York Auto Show, and the first issue they took was that Audi never named the source of the data, which they say is plagiarism. And it's a good point. You've always got to put your source. The data was misrepresented by putting it on a different axis, which they call falsification. And that's true as well, because the graph that Audi had found on the internet, and I'll go into this in a moment, had a different horizontal axis to the one they then presented because they just took the data and put different numbers on it. And he then used the data to show the e-tron's charging superiority, really, over the Model 3, when actually, when you read the Clean Technica article and you look at the data, it actually proves the opposite. Now, Clean Technica call it deception. Wow, powerful words against VW Group. You can call it good marketing if you want to. They call it a brazen lie. At best, a highly misleading accident. Have a look at the article online, cleantechnica.com. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want. They really tear Audi apart on this graph, particularly on the first subject of, well, where did it come from? You've put this charging data online. Where'd you get it? In the end, Audi admitted electric. And actually, if you go to electric, it's not theirs. It came from Twitter. And actually, if you go to the original Twitter post, it came from Reddit. This is unraveling pretty quickly. And actually, the charge data that appears in this Audi presentation was taken from a single Reddit post from someone doing their own experiments on charge speeds of Supercharger V2 versus Supercharger V3 on their Model 3. And this is a single person in a single point in time. We don't know whether this was on beta software. We don't know whether they'd used the facility on Teslas where if you say that you're driving to a supercharger station, the Tesla will then manage the battery temperatures in your car so that it is in optimal condition. So when you get up to the charge point, you plug your car in at the supercharger station, it's ready to take maximum charge. We don't know whether that system was even available to this person because it was when V3 was first released. So this this isn't great, if I'm honest with you. This isn't great for Audi or VW in terms of behaving the way that a really big multinational, one of the world's biggest companies, really should be behaving. And in fairness, they held their hands up. They didn't admit to do anything wrong. They said, look, the point is that they stick to their point. The Audi e-tron can hold the maximum charge speed for longer. But they did hold their hands up and go, you know what? Yep, we didn't attribute where we got the data from. Yes, the data, we did misrepresent it. And actually, they did change the axes and things like that and the labeling. Not a good look. Not a cool look. And they are also, as you can imagine it, when you go through the comments section from people who are still stinging from Dieselgate, they're taking a kicking in the comment sections as well. I mean, the internet can be a rough and tumble place. I get off very lightly on this podcast. I know I do put myself out there and make content every single day. And I'm largely as part of a supportive, positive community. But my goodness me, the internet can be a brutal place, and people are not holding back in the comments sections. Look, I'm going to throw a link there because it's a long read, but if you're as interested as I am in this whole thing, like, wow, that's super interesting. Let's move on to Nissan. Well, Nissan's introducing a new version of its ProPilot Assist driver assist system. They're doing it in Japan to begin with, and it marks a big step forward in automation. The current version of ProPilot Assist is basically a very, very good version of adaptive cruise control with a bit of lane centering. Nissan claims the new system, ProPilot 2.0, does allow for hands-off driving on highways, says Digital Trends. Now, Digital Trends say the ProPilot 2.0 is designed to work only on highways, only in Japan, very similar to Tesla's Autopilot system, like Cadillac's Super Cruise system. It can follow a route in the car's nav from on-ramp to off-ramp. Once the, and we don't call that here, certainly here, we don't use the phrase on-ramp, off-ramp. I know what it means, like slip road to slip road, but that's the phrase they use. Once the car reaches the off-ramp, the driver takes full control again. On the highway, Nissan claims drivers can take their hands off the wheel and the car will cruise in a single lane. What else can this system do and not do? Well, if you want to initiate a lane change, yes, you do have to use the indicator, and yes, you do have to move the car back into the original lane, which in areas where they are allowed to use that system, Tesla, of course, is now with Navigate on Autopilot a little more autonomous. We're going to get to that later in the show because we'll be talking today about how I think one single system, Tesla's Autopilot, will actually have many different interpretations around the world. According to regulations, autonomy is so mind-blowingly complicated that they're already falling foul of it here. Let's talk about MG. Well, I say MG, it's really SAIC, a Chinese company, but they bought the name MG and the badge MG, and the Shanghai-based SAIC Motor have been investing time and resources into an EV, a full EV, unveiled today at the London Motor Show. The electric crossover has a 44.5 kilowatt-hour liquid-cooled battery. I love that sentence. 44.5 kilowatt-hour. Nice, big but not too big, not too heavy, but a reasonable range. And, you know, you can show off, can't you? Who's got the biggest dongly in the, I don't know why I chose that word, in the gym, changing rooms. If you want, you can be that guy if you want. Or you can say, you know what, actually, what's the sweet spot for our battery size? We don't have to go and grab headlines. I think 50 kilowatt hours, a really good size for kind of EVs as they are this year for the next couple of years. And dongly, I've never called one that before. It places almost directly in competition with the Kona Electric with the smaller battery, 39.2 kilowatt hour, and the WLTP range will be confirmed in Q3, says Inside EVs. The press release that we got from MG said this, and I quote, "The ZS EV is powered by a 44.5 kilowatt hour water-cooled battery." Oh yeah, that's the other half of the sentence I love. It's active thermal management, I think is the phrase. I confuse myself sometimes, but it's not air cooled, in other words. So they are looking after the temperatures of the battery, keep it nice and warm in the winter. We get some very cold winters here. Also keeps it cool when you are rapid charging, but when you've done 2 or 3 rapid charges in a row, we're looking at you, Nissan, and hopefully keeping the battery nice and cool so that you can get to where you want to go nice and quickly. Back to the press release, rapid charging capability that will enable it to be recharged 0 to 80% in 43 minutes. Interesting. Because some manufacturers go 20 to 80, but they're saying 0 to 80 in 43 minutes. While domestic charging on a 7 kilowatt unit takes 6.5 hours from 0 to 100. Certified range on WLTP test cycle will be confirmed in Q3. What do you reckon? You want to stick your finger in the air? Or your dongly, and have a guess? and say, what do you reckon? What do you reckon 44 kilowatt hours works out at for a crossover SUV? 100 and, let's make a prediction, 164 miles on WLTP. There you go. You can say that when we finally get the number on the 17th of May, I was wildly wrong. That's going to be my prediction then. I reckon 164. Anything more, bit of a bonus. Anything less, not so good. Maybe efficiency issues if it's less than 150 miles of WLTP range. APA range, will you get the MG in the US? I highly doubt it. Let's talk about a couple of Tesla stories today. Holy moly. You know what? I don't own single stocks, and maybe I do own Tesla shares as part of my pension investments. I don't know. If you own single Tesla stocks, it's a wild ride. You can have amazing days, and you can have tough days and tough weeks, tough months, like this month has been. Yes, before I came out to record the show, I did think, how did Friday end? End of trading? Not good. Not good. It's been a challenging time for Tesla's stock price. And so they're doing all they can to make sure the business is in good shape. Elon Musk told employees today the company's going to run out of cash in 10 months unless hardcore cost-cutting efforts are made. According to an all-staff email obtained by Reuters and Electrek, the cost-cutting measures are necessary, say The Verge, despite the fact that Tesla has raised $2.7 billion earlier in the month. Elon Musk saying in the email that, and reported by The Verge today, that he and Zach Kirkhorn, who recently replaced the outgoing CFO, the Chief Financial Officer Deepak Ahuja, will, and I quote, review all expenses of any kind, anywhere in the world, including parts, salary, travel, rent, literally every payment that leaves our bank account, end quote. That's according to the email. Surely, well, no, he's not. Literally, it's too big a company for Elon to physically be signing off everyone's expenses. So, but you get the sentiment of the statement, and you kind of understand. There's probably like a financial amount they've put on that. So anything more than, I don't know, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 will cross Elon's desk. And let's hope that you don't make Elon cross. Not a good career move. Next on their software, and we're talking about it on this week's question of the week, hardware or software, this is a bit of both. A Tesla Model S caught fire in Hong Kong on Sunday last week, less than a month after a video of a Model S on fire in Shanghai. And we don't know how these fires start. And I would just say first, this is the internet. You don't know how anything has ended up there. You have to take it seriously. Equally, you know what? There's a lot of people to lose. A lot of people with a lot to lose in this move to EVs, to batteries. There's a lot of people with a lot of money to lose. So, you know what? I'm not saying any of this is suspicious, but always bear in mind that we don't know the full story when we talk about these things. Tesla have now said, though, that out of an abundance of caution, they're making some software changes to reduce the risk of batteries catching fire, says Jalopnik. Well, Jalopnik spoke with a Tesla spokesperson about the incident. The company said it's making over-the-air changes to thermal and charge management of the battery in the S and the X. Tesla said this, and I quote, "As we continue our investigation of the root cause, out of an abundance of caution, we are revising charge and thermal management settings on Model S and X vehicles via an over-the-air software update that will begin rolling out today to help further protect the battery and improve battery longevity." End quote. With an update on the article after it was published, Jalopnik added, "This article has been amended to clarify that the Tesla Model S or X may not necessarily have to be driving for extreme battery temperatures to occur. The new thermal management software aims to manage those temperatures under all conditions." So I wonder what the issue was there between Tesla and the website, having to make some clarifications. And finally today on Tesla News, they're starting to push a new software update here in Europe, but I'm afraid it's not good news. They're pulling back on Autopilot features in European markets because of regulation. Tesla's Autopilot on Model S and X was already approved under previous regulations. It's been working just fine, but now they have to walk back functionality in order to comply. The changes are starting to get pushed out to Model S and X vehicles in a new update. It's 2019.16.1, and Fred at Electrek has the full story on this if you want to have a look. Tesla wrote, "Due to local regulations, the limit of how fast steering wheels can turn whilst auto steer is active has been adjusted. This may reduce auto steer's ability to complete sharp turns. Additionally, to initiate auto lane change, the turn signal must be engaged to the first detente, or detent, held partially up or down, in other words. And the lane change must start within 5 seconds of engaging the turn signal. So that comes back to what I was talking about earlier, that I think Autopilot, it'll come in many flavours, and it will work differently in different markets according to different regulators. And unfortunately, this isn't even Model 3, this is S and X owners who have had a car working just fine, very happy with it, and they've bought a product and I presume they like the product that it's working, but because of regulations and because software over-the-air updates, they'll get in their car now and it will do fewer things than it did previously that were classed as safe under the old regulations. What do you think of that? I'd love to read your comments. You can always send me an email or leave a comment on the various places that I publish this. Finally, Peugeot are making big noises about their E208. The Peugeot 208 is a big selling car. And the E208 is their first mass market full electric vehicle with a long battery warranty and very attractive lease rates that are comparable to ICE cars. The favourable terms are part of their ambitions for the E208 to have a 15% market share of their global volume for that model. It's really ambitious, and Automotive News Europe has this story. They say sales prices for the 208 are going to be announced in the spring, but Peugeot is already promising a 48-month, 60,000 kilometre lease for €299 for the electric 208. Down payment of €2,500. The company says the terms compare with the gas version, €269, and the diesel, €289. And although I always say, don't lease a car to save money. Lease a car for various reasons. Don't lease a car because you think you are getting a great financial deal. I have this to and fro all the time in the comments section of people going, leasing's the best way to get a car. And if that was the case, every lease company would go bust. But they don't, so someone's making money. And it's not you. So don't lease a car to save money. Lease a car to get your monthly payments down lower. Lease a car if you need to. Lease a car if you're worried about technology moving on. Lease a car if you are worried about residuals. I don't buy new cars, so I don't have to worry about, what's that going to be worth in 3 years? Because I'm the one buying the 3-year-old car with the position of knowledge. So feel free to lease a car, do it for the right reasons, not because you think that you are winning on the deal. Having said all that, and I always put that out there because I chat to people in the comments and they're like, you're wrong on leasing. Fair enough, we can agree to disagree. But that is, for €300 a month, an attractive way for some people to get into an EV. Let me be careful on my choice of words. €2,500 down on a 4-year lease. So what's that? €3,500-ish a year. So, work out how many months you have to work just to pay your car lease off. But as a way of getting into an electric car, I totally understand it. No battery rental, by the way, on the E208. So you'll be owning the battery, but with a very, very long warranty on that. The E208 is getting that, and the MG we reported on earlier in the show, getting a ton of attention at the moment, and I kind of worry that the other car in the mix that should be getting as much attention being talked about, which is the Zoe, which is the new Zoe, which we don't know when that's coming, but I think the other cars are not so much getting a head start, but they're getting a lot of the attention at the moment, so we'll see what Renault do with that. We knew the new Zoe's coming, and we know various places are now reporting either 40 or 50 kilowatt hour battery. Pretty much confirmed now. I think I can say that it's got DC fast charging and 22 kilowatt AC charging. That is the perfect combo. But I think it's kind of being left out of some of the general discussion on EVs, and we don't know when it's coming, even when it's going to be unveiled, when we can order it and all those kind of things. A very popular car, again, here in Europe, not for the US and for other markets around the world. With all of today's show having been said, how do you now feel about this week's question of the week, which we'll answer on Sunday? And I'll read your emails out. And I think I've got the most ever to read out, so sorry about that, but it's been really popular. What's more important, hardware or software? Email me. hello@evnewsdaily.com is my email. I'll give it to you again. hello@evnewsdaily.com. Or leave a comment, Facebook, YouTube, those kind of places. Well, thank you to 212 patrons of the podcast for supporting the show. Got some new members to mention over the weekend as well. Thank you for that. If you want to get any of the previous 473 shows, I would invite you to have a look at the blog, evnewsdaily.com, and you can use the search function. You can see any of the old ones on there if you want to go and see what the news was about your favourite car topic, that kind of thing. All the archive is there. And, of course, the new shows every single day are available first and free and automatically to you if you hit subscribe. In the meantime, come and say hi on Facebook or maybe Twitter by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you at the weekend for a Saturday special interview. In the meantime, remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.